Lone Wolf Podcast with your host, John Schaefer. We're alive. We're on planet Earth. Hope you're feeling okay today. Hope you all feel powerful and well. Let's get into it. We're here. We're alive. We're doing some planet Earth stuff. We're on the planet. We're in our Earth suits. Our eyes are working. Our senses are working. We're alive. And I'm excited to be here with you all today. I hope you slept great last night. I slept okay. I've been sleeping on couches and floors for a really long time, so it's really nice to have a bed. It's something that we can all get used to and not really think about or care about, just like clean drinking water or electricity. But it's an amazing thing to have a bedroom and a bed to sleep in. It's also pretty cool to have an apartment. I've just been up and down my whole life, inconsistent, all over the place, staying with lots of people, staying with random people, staying with strangers, staying with friends, whatever the case there, and just kind of haven't ever really stayed in one place and actually made moves and made adjustments, actually stayed and build something. I haven't stayed still to create a good life anywhere. I've always unplugged and bailed, got anxious or depressed, and just thought moving would fix it. And in recovery, we learn wherever you go, there you are. And it took me a long time to understand what that meant. Now that I'm a little older, I understand completely what it means. It's just like if you have all the money in the world, you have all the money in your pocket, all the money in your bank account, but you have mental issues. You have anxiety or depression or maybe some kind of self-hatred or regret or something holding you back. Just because you have all the money in the world doesn't mean that you're not morally bankrupt or emotionally bankrupt. You can have a lot of material possessions, but it doesn't mean that you're well off or happy. And as long as you still have these mental patterns and these behavioral patterns, it doesn't really matter how much you have or what you have, it's what you do with it. And can you use it for good things? Can you use it to help people? Can the world benefit from it? Can you help the world see clearly? Can you help the world suffer less? This year, I think on the last one, as far as time goes, we were in 2009, 2010, and we're running around Durango, Colorado. We're running around with our tattoos and our piercings and our backwards ball caps and our band shirts and our ripped up jeans and our ripped up skinny jeans. It was getting off probation. It was a lot of moving around and figuring things out with all the homies because I had a falling out with my brother and his friends. I had a little falling out with the skate crew and my brothers. I was withdrawing from an insane amount of opiates, pain pills, oxycodone. They gave me a lot of opiates when I had clavicle surgery on my shoulder. In this period, it was just chaos. It was just day-to-day living. I didn't know how to be productive. I didn't know how to be useful. I didn't know how to clean. I didn't know how to affect my environment in a positive way. So I was just chain-smoking cigarettes, killing time, not doing anything very productive at all. I got the injury blues for sure. Just sitting around, not doing the things that you used to do, not being able to be as active, not able to focus and work hard, kind of in recovery mode. You have injuries, so you have to heal and get better so you can come back harder and faster and stronger. That's what we're talking about. We're trying to make those halftime adjustments and come back harder in the second half. I withdraw from opiates, and I'm having panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I can't breathe. I'm sweating a lot. I'm having all these shakes and my skin tickles. And yeah, my skin is just pins and needles. My nerves were hurting. Everything was hurting, and I couldn't stop twitching. My body was twitching all over the place like a fish out of water for the most part, man. It was like I was being electrocuted, and I didn't know when the jolt was coming or how hard the jolt was going to be. And I didn't know that I could go to the hospital. I didn't trust hospitals at this point. I owed them a lot of money for the surgery, and I had zero money for food and barely could keep the lights on. So I had no intentions of paying for this surgery. It was just something I had to get done so I could keep drumming and so I could have my full mobility in my shoulder and my arm and everything like that. But I just had to do what I had to do and got the surgery and withdrew from the meds. Terrible. Got in a fight with my brother and his friends. They left. They packed up and left. I was in this crazy, anxious, depressed mode, and everyone was the enemy, and I was just angry at everybody. Edgy, just emotional, my levels were all off. I was just all over the place. It was terrible. And I wanted to commit suicide back then. It was just a wreck, and I was losing everything and everyone. I get back to work at Carver's. I think I have a month left at this apartment before they evict us and kick me out. I'm the only one remaining right now. So I'm in this apartment by myself, and there's just food going bad in the fridge, trash everywhere. There's a couch without any cushions on it. A lot of chaos, man. It was just a wreck. It was just an abandoned apartment. All of a sudden, I just found myself in this abandoned apartment by myself. And this one night, man, so this neighbor guy, I'm talking to this neighbor, we're drinking, we're having some drinks, because that's all you do when you don't have a plan or a clue, and you're just kind of hanging in there, and you're an addict. It's like you just wait for some kind of medicine or something, some kind of remedy to fall into your lap, or it's like you're just waiting for something to come and take away the pain. So we started drinking with a neighbor, and he told me he had a piece of a hydrocodone Vicodin, and I was like, dude, oh man, I'm hurting badly, man. You know, can I have a piece? Can I have a half or one? And he's like, I'll give you a half. So I took a half of this pill. I hadn't had any pills in about 3 or 4 days and was still kind of withdrawing. Thought some booze would help out. A lot of heroin addicts drink a lot of vodka when they're withdrawing. And it's like this thing you're trying to reach, that euphoric, numbing, comfortable place. You're trying to get there, and in an addict's mind, they'll use alcohol or whatever they can to try to get to that place, that happy, warm place where nothing matters. Get to that place where everything goes away for a minute. Get to that numb place for 30, 40 minutes, and then you're coming down again, and you're back to square one. Anyways, let's get to the juicy stuff. Let's get to the intense stuff. I'm in this apartment. We're having some drinks. We're drinking some Jack Daniels or whatever, and this guy gives me a pill. Take the pill. I start drinking more. Cool, things start to take in effect. My withdrawals are kind of going away a little bit, so I'm drinking a lot. Didn't eat. I wasn't eating very well. Maybe once a day if I was lucky. And we're drinking. I take this pill. I get a little loopy, and I get a little energy. So I'm gonna go downtown, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go downtown. I'm gonna go to my work. I'm gonna go to Carver's. So I walk downtown, blacked out, trashed, and I bring vodka in a water bottle. So I'm sitting at the bar at the place I work at. It's my day off, and I'm drinking vodka out of a water bottle, and I get lit up fast, and I black out. Bartender tells me I got to get out of here. They smell my cup, and they're like, dude, you've got to get the hell out of here. Cussing, I'm being rude to customers, I'm laughing it up and telling stories that are offensive and rude, and I just think it's so hilarious, and I'm the funniest person in the world. Meanwhile, these people are getting fed up with me and irritated, so the bartender kicks me out, and I walk on my way home, I guess. I don't remember any of this, I was blacked out, but I get close to the apartment, and a cop picks me up, and it's this specific police officer in Durango, Colorado there, and he's got a history with maybe some sexual harassment, kind of a creepy guy. He's got some rumors following him around town. He's known to bend the rules and things like that for sexual favors and things of that sort. This guy picks me up. This cop takes me to my apartment. I'm like, yeah, man, this is cool. You want to come in? Yeah, sure, I'll come in. We go inside. There's no electricity. I'm like, yeah, I don't have any electricity yet. We just kind of making things happen. Whatever, I'm trashed. I don't remember what I said. This guy is using his flashlight. Yeah, cool, all right. So we get into my apartment, and this motherfucker says, hey, so John, can I ask you a question? I'm like, yeah, man, go ahead, ask away. And this officer goes, do you know what a blowjob is? And boom, I start to sober up and I start to come back to reality because that was crazy. So I'm like, what? Oh no, does he have a daughter? Does he have some friend that I slept with or something? Who does this guy know that I hooked up with? I reply, yes, I do. I do know what a blowjob is. And he says, would you like me to give you one? You don't have to give one to me, but I could give one to you. And I sobered up. And I didn't know this could happen. But yeah, if you're just in this trashed state, you're like, all right, cool, things are happening, we're cruising, we're trashed. But something like that happens, and I come to. It just brought me back to reality when he said this. So I'm like, all right, I gotta focus, I gotta pay attention, because this is a police officer saying these things. I need to pay attention right now. And yeah, I'm like, no, man, no, I'm good, no, I'm all right, I'm okay, that's fine, I'm good, I'm not interested at all. And he goes, okay, that's all right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You have a great rest of the night. Oh my God, and he just left. He just left like that. So I'm just messed up. I'm trashed, dude. So I like get a little bit of sleep, wake up early, like 8, 7 a.m. I'm still drunk in the morning when I wake up. And I'm like, dude, did this really happen? I go to work, tell some people about it, and they're just like, what? They don't believe me. They don't believe it one bit. And then I tell this busboy, and he starts laughing and says, yeah, he said that to one of my buddies. He did that. He was talking like that to one of my buddies one night. So I was like, okay, this is a thing that happens. Wow, this is regular. This is normal. This is crazy. And I'm just this drunk, poor, broke loser that nobody's going to listen to. So I literally had to just kind of compartmentalize that and put it away for a rainy day. Hopefully that's a nice little entertaining story for you. But geez-o. So I'm working. I'm trying to, shake the hangover off, get through the day and all that good stuff. One of my buddies, Daniel's like, hey man, let's move into this spot. I got a place lined up over on 8th and 8th in the neighborhood behind downtown in Durango. Great place. Let's go over there. I'll help you out. I'll make sure you're not starving or hurting. Come together and we'll make this happen. I get all my crap from this old apartment and we move in on 8th and 8th and it's so awesome. It's a whole new world because we were on the other side of town and now we're downtown and now we're in this neighborhood where all of our friends live. All the people we work with live in this area. There's always parties happening in this area. And it's just a very, very nice communal neighborhood. Again, there's just a lot of the friends and homies around, a lot of influences and people partying. So there was a lot of partying happening and I was just still on this opiate kick. And when I didn't have opiates, I would drink and I would get sick and hungover from the alcohol and I would need pills really badly for the hangover because I was dying. And then when I wouldn't have pills, I would drink. It was just this terrible, terrible, chaotic cycle. And one of our buddies gets off probation. He's been on probation for a while and he has our band play. It's just L playing guitar and this total fool doing vocals and I'm doing drums. So our buddy plans this huge kegger out at our friend's house, out at Ryan Patrick's house. Yeah. Rest in peace, Kelly Patrick. Represent. Our good friend Kelly from high school passed away when he was very young. This is his older brother, Ryan, who's just like a brother to me, and he's the man. I love him. And we're out at his place partying, having a fucking blast. We have kegs, we've got weed, we've got friends, we've got instruments. So this is when I started to get into methadone. I had a buddy give me some methadone one day, and I did not know how to utilize it. I didn't know how to utilize things like Suboxone and methadone. I just knew how to take it and medicate with it. So this is my first little kind of month on methadone, and I got it illegally, whatever, off the streets. And I take a little too much this night. I take a little too much. So we're jamming, we play our set. It's awesome. Everyone has a blast. And then everyone's drinking. Yeah, everyone's drinking and getting lit up and getting a little loose. I think I went to sleep in the house, and I woke up the next morning super, super sick. Like throwing up, shaking, terrible. And I didn't drink anything the night before. It was just from taking too much methadone. So that next day I was super hungover and sick and just feeling so terrible. I call work. Hey, I'm trying to get there. I might be like 2 hours late, but I'm trying to get there. 2 hours goes by. I'm still sick and just messed up. So I call and tell them I can't even come in. I think it was like on a Sunday, one of the busiest days of the week. And at this point, they're just sick and tired of me calling in sick and hungover all the time and causing trouble and stealing and lying and cussing, causing a lot of confusion and causing a lot of chaos there at my place of employment. So they kind of call me that night and let me know that I don't work there anymore. I had made it maybe 2.5 years, maybe 3 years there at Carver's. And they had just literally taken me from the streets and made me into this cook, into a passionate, hardworking person. And that's something I had to take with me, and I had to realize that I had developed some kind of a skill set to help me in the world. I didn't have to work at gas stations anymore, you know? I didn't have to work in dish pits anymore. I knew how to cook. But I didn't know anything about applying at places still. I still didn't know how to apply at places. I didn't know how to set a resume up or anything. So I filled out an application at this awesome historic hotel in downtown Durango, Colorado, the Strater Hotel. So I get a job there in the kitchen, and it's, I think, November, December area, 2009, 2010. Lots of banquets happening, and I'm working, and it's awesome. This place is great, but I still want to be playing music. I still want to be with my homies. At this point, a few of us had started another band. I had ran into some people. Sam Robert Downey Jr. playing bass. I had never met him before and ran into him on 8th and 8th. Ran into an old friend that I used to play with, Jason. Got him involved doing some vocals. Our friend Brian, quiet, sloth-like character. Tall, skinny, fat gauges, good guy. Would drive us around in his little car. We would just jam some nasty, nasty metal. Some nasty, like, breakdown, beat down, crunchy stuff, man. I loved it. It was a good time. Drive around, smoke some weed, and we had a little storage shed out by Walmart that we would jam in and practice in. We had all our gear out there, and it was just great. All of a sudden, we had this little band, and we were actually all pretty goddamn good at what we did. And when we came together, it was so awesome. And we were starting to write songs, and we were writing some pretty awesome, pretty skillful, powerful, intense, upbeat, hardcore metal, and it was so fun. It was so awesome. But I was still just like really focused on finding pills and partying. And it's terrible. I had a job. I had a girlfriend at the time. Our band was doing things. I was starting to finally build another life I was proud of. With addiction, you're so tunnel vision and you're in a haze. You're still in a haze. It's like there's a veil over your eyes and your third eye has not opened up yet. Still kind of naive, still just thinking we can party our way to freedom, thinking we can party our way to the top. Our band got in we get in fights and argue and all this terrible stuff, call each other names, call each other drug addict and loser and all this terrible stuff. And one day that happened. I don't know. I was super compulsive and trippy. And I don't know why, man. I went to the storage shed and I put all of their equipment outside. And I was like, this shit's over, man. I'm done. You guys are total assholes. And that was the end of our band called Wake of the Butcher. And it was terrible. It was a complete bummer to have that happen. And that was the last legitimate band that I was part of. And I don't think any of the other guys went on to do anything either with a legitimate band. There just weren't too many people in that town that were musicians and that were playing heavy aggressive music. So at this point, I believe I sold my drum set to pay rent. And because of that, I went a good 5 or 6 years until I did find another drum set. Or it took me another 5 or 6 years until I could get my life together enough to actually get a drum set and be playing again. This definitely started a whole new spiral, and I started stealing from my roommate. I started stealing weed and selling it so I could buy pills. I was talking to other girls and cheating on... I wasn't cheating, but I was cheating. I was definitely lying and cheating. And this girl was pretty amazing. She wanted me to be better. She wanted me to stop smoking cigarettes and stop drinking and stop partying so much. She wanted me to be a better person and focus on building a better life. And I just didn't care back then, man. I was stubborn and hurt. And anybody that tried to tell me to change was wrong and needed to get out of my life. And I'm not like that anymore, thankfully. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's just hard-headedness and just very immature and not accepting of outside information and not accepting of any kind of help that wasn't the right kind of help for me. I didn't want the help if it wasn't the right kind of help. And I wasn't ready to change. I wasn't ready to change either. Even though making all these terrible mistakes over and over again, I just still never learned. So our band breaks up, terrible. We're all bitter and resentful and don't like each other. Not working. Seriously not working much at all. I would call in to work at the Strader just so I could get stoned with my friends and talk about music and sit around and listen to metal, get high and sit around and get high and talk about metal and talk about the things we wanted to do but never did. We didn't know how to make the first move. And that first move was just going to work and producing income to hold on to the apartment and the home. Wasn't eating at this time. Like I said, maybe eating once a day. My mom came to me and she's like, your grandfather's really sick. I don't know when he's gonna leave the earth and pass away, but it could be any time. And he wanted me to give all the kids $3,000 that he saved for all of you. And it's like, okay, cool, that's awesome. First he blessed us earlier with a little bit, and then boom, he makes this happen again. So all of a sudden I get $3,000 and I'm about to get evicted from this 8th and 8th place. We were just so behind on rent and I was just such a loser, not paying attention to bills, not making any money, that one day I get all this money and I'm like, cool, this is great. Well, let's just pack up and get out of here. I'm going to try to move to Phoenix. I had a buddy, Kyle. Maybe we could just call him Damon. Damon was this Indian Navajo kid that was a skateboarder and part of the skateboard crew with my brothers. And we were just inseparable. It was like Damon and I all the time and my brothers, and we would just do everything together. And of course with that you have some falling outs with people if you're constantly around them and you're struggling to eat, struggling to survive. We start talking and it's like, dude, I want to move to Phoenix. Phoenix sounds awesome. And I'm super pilled up and messed up, and my buddy's like, dude, you should move to Phoenix with me. Let's go to Phoenix. My mom lives there. I have a bunch of friends there. Great, cool. Well, I tell my girlfriend I'm going to move to Phoenix, and she just completely breaks down and freaks out. I'm like, well, maybe I'll just go for a couple months. I'll go down there and hang out, and I'll come back. I just did not have a plan, and my mind was all over the place, and I was so compulsive. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't have any clear goals. So I get this money, and I'm like, yeah, let's go to Phoenix, sure. I go stay in a hotel, and I still have things in the 8th and 8th place. Daniel moves out, boom, gets all his stuff moved out to a friend's house. Some of my stuff is still at the 8th and 8th apartment. I'm in a hotel now. I get a phone call early one morning from the landlord, and she says, hey, all of your stuff is outside, and people are taking it. I told you today was the deadline to have everything out, and now I'm putting it all outside. Wake up, I'm like, oh man, in a pill haze, and I'm just go right to anxiety attack, go right to panic attack, and I get a hold of a buddy, and he comes, picks me up, we go to the apartment, all my stuff's outside, and people are going through it. I'm like, hey man, get out of here, this is my stuff, this is crazy, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry about that. We pull up, I start putting all my stuff that's outside into the car, into my buddy's car. Landlord comes out, start talking crap to each other and yelling at each other. I get all my stuff, I leave. We go to Phoenix the next day. I go to Phoenix with my buddy and his father. We throw all my stuff in his truck. We cruise to Phoenix. It's snowing in Durango the night we leave, and then we get to Phoenix, and all of my stuff in the back of the truck is soaking wet. Everything in the back is soaked. I try to get it all out. Once we get to his apartment in Phoenix there, I get it all out. A lot of it's water damaged. It's got I have to throw away a lot of stuff. It's just karma. I was not thinking. I wasn't covering my bases. I was doing things compulsively and out of feeling, and did not have a good solid plan at all. I just on a whim. Yeah, let's move. Everything's going to shit here. Let's bail. Go to Phoenix, quickly meet somebody that can help me with pills. I find somebody that can sell me Oxycontin. So then it becomes this, let's hang out at this skate park and party with people all the time. I didn't know a damn thing about the area. I didn't know anything about how to behave or how to conduct myself or how to act. I didn't know who not to talk to and who to stay away from. So I would just get trashed at the skate park, and all these creeps and just pieces of shit, lowest of the low, I would run into these people. None of them had any good ideas. None of them were up to any good. All of them had bad, selfish, malevolent intentions. And I was just this naive white kid. They were all Mexican, Spanish, Indian, a lot of them. And so, we're hanging out, we're partying. A couple days in, my buddy Damon tells me, yeah, dude, you got to be careful out here. And I'm like, what? Why would I have to be careful out here? And he's like, you're the minority out here. Skinny, tattooed white kids like you. Those are the kinds of people that break into people's houses here. Crazy, whatever, okay, though. And a couple people a few times are like, hey, so you like pills, huh? I can get some pills if $50. How much do you need? And I would give him $50. Yeah, here's $50. Get me some pills. I'll be here, man. That dude would disappear, not answer my phone calls. Just weird, just stupid, terrible things. Just not good things and not good people. And after a while, I wasn't making any productive moves in Phoenix. I was just partying and days were going by. I was not eating. I was just drinking and taking pills and spending money. No, not looking for a job, not anything. And that took its toll. And after a while, they told me one night, they're like, you got so trashed last night at the skate park, dude. We thought you were going to die because somebody tried to fight you. And then we had to leave the skate park because this guy wanted to fight you. And you almost stumbled into the street and got hit by cars. And you almost got hit by a bus. And a couple cars almost hit you because you're stumbling all over the place. And we were holding you up all the way back to the apartment. So this is fucking crazy to me. And things are just getting out of control. My mom calls me. Hey, Grandpa just passed away. He passed away this morning. So spend $300 more to get back up to Durango, Colorado. I think it's about 7 or 8 hours away to Phoenix. Go back up to Durango, Colorado. Get in a hotel. Stay at a hotel. Go to the funeral. The funeral was weird because my mom had remarried and her husband and her son-in-law were there. The cop that arrested me. So these guys are there. Her new husband hates me and does not like me or my little brothers at all. And this started a really big feud within the family because I was just super destructive and I was trying to be positive. And I don't know, I guess I was just smiling and happy and on pills, and I was just kind of a little too happy to be at a funeral, and a lot of people got upset with me. And yeah, it was. I was behaving really weird, and I was behaving irrationally, and I was not conducting myself properly at all. What happens then, I go back to Phoenix a couple days later. I'm in Durango for a minute, see my girlfriend, talk about things. I go down to Phoenix again for about another week. Fall into the same habits, fall into the same thing. And I didn't have a state ID card, so there wasn't much I could do. All of a sudden, I was like, oh shit, I don't have an ID card. I can't do too much down here. I kind of put it all together and things are falling apart in Phoenix. I'm in Phoenix. I get a call from a police officer. Hey, so-and-so with the Durango Police Department. Hey, so you lived in the 8th and 8th apartment, right? You and your buddy Daniel? Yeah, for sure. We lived there and we just got evicted and we all moved out of there. Why? What's up? Okay, well, somebody vandalized the apartment that you guys lived in, and we're thinking, and the landlord's thinking that maybe you and your roommate had something to do with it. Did you guys just get kicked out and trash the place before you left? No, that's not what we did. We got all of our stuff and actually got kicked out a day earlier, whatever the case. All of our stuff was outside. We got all of our stuff and left. And I'm like, there's this guy up. I tell him, hey, there's this roommate upstairs that's pretty sketchy. And he's always asking us for Xanax. And he's drinking a lot and blacking out and being pretty trippy. There was this motherfucker asshole upstairs that would buy weed from my roommate, and he would always ask us if we had Xanax, and he would always talk about drinking and taking Xanax and blacking out and how fun it was. And wow, kind of made me feel better about my situation. But still, I didn't have the maturity or the education or the self-realization to look at him and say, holy shit, that's kind of how I'm acting. I didn't look at him and go, oh wow, I'm acting like that. I didn't have the awareness back then. And these guys are like, yeah, you definitely did this. These guys were just convinced it was me and my roommate. So they were trying to figure it out. And the landlord wants to press charges. So do you have an alibi? Do you have somebody that can verify that you were out of state and out of town on this day? yes, blah, blah, blah. So I give the motherfucker my phone number and my information, and he checks out my phone records to see which satellites my phone calls have bounced off of. And he was able to determine that I was, in fact, in Phoenix at the time of this crime. So I was off the hook, but he still was like, I know you know who did it. You know, can you tell me where your friend is? Can you tell me where Daniel is? I'm like, no, man. I mean, honestly, what if it was this guy upstairs? I feel like it could be this guy upstairs trashing it and then just blaming us. And he's like, I can't really see that happening, but you think that's what happened, huh? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I do. I think that's what happened. I think this other motherfucker that didn't like us trashed the place and blamed it on us. Charges get dropped. It was totally that motherfucking guy. He was just trying to set us up, and we got off the hook for all that. Other than that, I'm in Phoenix. Things are going to shit. I'm drinking a lot. My friend Damon doesn't really like me anymore. Things are falling apart there. And one day his mom wakes me up and she's like, hey, the party's over. You gotta get out of here today. So I'm hungover and I'm not healthy. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. I gotta get out of here today. So I go stay at a hotel and I have somebody else check in for me because I don't have an ID. And I figure out that my buddy's dad is going back to Durango. So I go back to Durango with him. I'm staying at a hotel monthly and it's draining my money. Find somebody that's like, hey, I got a room for rent. You can totally stay here. So I move in with this crazy ass old lady. Awesome. Try to rebuild and kind of settle back in after moving to Phoenix and being so compulsive and so all over the place and just acting on impulse, acting on emotions, and just looking for that immediate fix instead of staying put and building and making these small choices, these small decisions. I was just wrapped up in this whirlwind and living way too fast. I was not paying attention to what I had in front of me. I hope this makes sense. Stick with me here because this is episode 5. I'm just going to keep on telling these stories until I get to present day. I'm trying to lay out the road and the map of my addiction and just depression and mental illness and trauma and overcoming all of those obstacles and overcoming all of that fear and learning to be comfortable in my own skin and learning to forgive myself and learning to detach from things I cannot control. It's been a crazy, crazy journey and an intense one. But at this point, I do the Phoenix move. I go to Phoenix and all this crazy shit. And I move back to Durango, Colorado. And I try to start anew. Back in Durango, Colorado, I get settled in. I still have my girlfriend. Things are on the rocks with her. Things are just going all over the place right now. I'm slowly losing everything. And I had the means to fix things too. If I would have stayed put and invested and used that money in a positive way, things would be a lot different. I didn't have any guidance and I didn't have anybody to get advice from. I didn't have anybody pointing me in the right direction. I didn't have a moral compass. I didn't have any spirituality. I didn't have anything on the inside. I didn't have any values or morals or anything guiding me. No goals or anything. It was just one day at a time. Let's get through this. And just a life of temporary, momentary pleasures. I'm going to let you go for now. This is episode 5 of the Homesick Lone Wolf Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed yourself today. I hope you get some sunshine and clean drinking water today. I love you all very much. I cannot wait to pick up where we left off. I hope you have a fantastic day. I love you very much, and I miss you. We will continue this story on episode 6. Thank you for tuning in to episode 5 of the Homesick Lone Wolf Podcast. This is your host, John Schaefer, signing off. Be well and be kind to each other.